everyone, welcome back to the Cheap channel, the channel dedicated to all things cheap in the world of fragrances. And in today's video, I am finally coming out with my fall video. Hopefully it's not too late, I hope. Here it is anyway. This is my fall Cheapies video. I did a spring Cheapies video. I did a summer Cheapies video. This is the fall Cheapies video. There will not be any honorable mentions in this, by the way. I'm just going to give you exactly what I like in this, and hopefully there's a good bit of variety in this. I try to put things that were sweet and that were young and things that were mature and maybe a little more masculine feel to them. Things hopefully that'll go either way in any situation that you can find yourself in this fall time. I really do love fall time. It is my favorite season. Just the beautiful colors of the leaves changing and then that crisp air that comes in, and it feels like AC everywhere you go, and I just love the feeling of it and being able to have the spices and to have the warmth feeling, have the bonfires and marshmallows and s'mores and hot coffee and all of that. I just love the feeling of fall, and hopefully these fragrances that I've picked out complement that same feeling. And without further ado, let's get to that first one, and it is this one, Cinnamon Spiked Cider. So if you know, I actually reviewed this fragrance along with another one like it in an older video. They're both from True Fragrance and Beauty LLC from Willowbrook, Illinois. They are those off the shelves from TJ Maxx kind of fragrances. They don't have any boxes, it's just the bottles. And a lot of times the presentations can be, and the bottles can be broken, the tops can come off and things like that. So it kind of have to sift through them and find the ones that are still in good quality and kept all together. But if you can find the ones that are like this, these are absolutely amazing. They're really, really nice, and the quality is not at all what you'd expect. It's very smooth, very well rounded, especially for a cheapie for what I think was like $14. It's just very surprising, and this one is the absolute perfect one for fall. To me, this is the epitome of fall. It opens up with a very juicy, sweet apple, and then you get further into that sweetness, and you get some spices and cinnamon along with it. Then later you start getting some cider elements in it as well. It smells exactly like a freshly batched thing of apple cider. It is just amazing. Again, that sweetness makes it very delectable, almost like you're ready to drink the thing. It is that good, and very, like I said, very surprising on the quality on this. And usually these kind of fragrances would pop up every once in a while at TJ Maxx and Burlington and Marshalls. The only thing with this one though is that the dry down is pretty quick. Performance is not the best, but because it is so cheap, you can always take it with you wherever you go and just reapply it as you need it. But again, I highly recommend this one. If you find it, definitely pick it up. It is Cinnamon Spiked Cider. So the next one I have is actually one that you've no doubt seen in cheap listings in the fragrance community. Besides just fall, it's a good cheapie even just by itself, but it's perfect for the fall time and the cooler weather, and it is this one, CK1 Shock for Him. I imagine that besides the original CK1 and maybe CKB, that this is probably one of the most popular in the CK1 line because it's very different from the CK1 line and most of what Calvin Klein does in general, because most of their stuff is freshies meant for the summer and springtime, but this is actually a dark, rich, ambery, spicy fragrance. Great and perfect for cooler weather, and it's way richer and way more in quality than what you would expect from a CK1 fragrance. Let's go ahead and get into that note breakdown real quick. So on these top notes, you have lavender, clementine, and cucumber, which is very interesting, especially for the overall scent profile this is in. On the middle notes, you have cardamom, pepper, basil, and osmanthus. And the base notes, you have tobacco, amber, patchouli, woodsy notes, and musk. So this is a very tobacco-forward fragrance. Even if tobacco is a base note, it is actually the most dominant note in this. This is also a very spicy and ambery, warm fragrance. You get a lot of sweetness in here as well. A lot of people say there's actually an energy drink accord in this somewhere, which I don't doubt it, especially with that green coloration on the bottle. Very easily appealing, a perfect tobacco style fragrance for a younger person wanting to start getting into that mature kind of style. It is just an incredible cheapie, and you can usually find this size here for under $20, and a little above $20 you can get the full 6-ounce bottle, which is massive. I had at one time trade it with another person for this smaller size because I just am not going to be able to use all that 6 ounces in the time given, but it is still really worth getting. Again, the price is just incredible for this. The one complaint that I have with this that a lot of other people have as well is the performance. It does not stay on as long as you'd want it to. It dries down very quick, but while it is there, it is a wonderful, wonderful fragrance. And again, because it's so inexpensive, you can always reapply as you need it, especially if you get that big old 6-ounce bottle. You can just spray up however much you need and have plenty to go off of. In case you are wondering, yes, there is a female version of this called CK1 Shock. For her, it's in a white bottle with a pink graffiti, and it is a very dark, rich, candy, powdery, chocolatey fragrance. It's actually very nice, very sweet, and I think it is the perfect complement to this fragrance. So if you have a girl and you wear this, and you want her to wear that, it would smell great together. Highly recommend, perfect for fall time and for getting into that mature tobacco kind of style fragrance. It is this one here, CK1 Shock for him. So the next one we're gonna look at is actually one that's gonna break away from how we were looking at before. The other ones you could find at TJ Maxx and Ross and all those rack stores, but this one, you're really only gonna find it online at discounters, but it's usually always available and very, very inexpensive, which is incredible for what you get out of it. And it is this one here, Lattafa Raghba Wood Intense. So this fragrance is probably gonna be the sweetest out of all of these. It is extremely, extremely sweet, and you'll see when we get into the note breakdown why it is so sweet. But not only is it sweet, but by the name Wood Intense, you are getting a lot of woods, many different kind of woods actually, and we'll get into that later. So it's a very sweet, woody, there's almost an incense smokiness to this as well. Some people say it even has that balsamic kind of quality to it, but it has a very dirtiness as it starts drying down. Also, the presentation, very hefty. The bottle is very thick glass and very bulky. It feels great in the hand, feels like quality, and it's very different from all of these that we're gonna see here. I wanna go ahead and get to that note breakdown real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. With this, on those top notes, you have caramel, guaiac wood, licorice, and cedar. Middle notes, you have sugar, agarwood, which is oud, sandalwood, and cashmere wood. And the base notes you have are incense, vanilla, amber, oak moss, and musk. So you have sugar and caramel and licorice in this, which adds that sweetness. It builds together to make a very complex sweetness to it, which is very appealing. And again, perfect for the fall time because you also get that incense with it, adding that smokiness and a bunch of wood, at least 4 or 5 different woods in this. So all of that blend together, you wouldn't think that it would smell that good, but it's very, very well blended, very smooth in this. And I will say, if you don't like sweet fragrances, you're not gonna like this one because this is a overwhelmingly sweet fragrance. Not so much in a gourmand kind of style, but just that it is very piercing sweet, but not really in the bad way, because you have all that smokiness in the woods and that oud and a lot of the musks that come along with it and really round out everything. It's a very well blended, well-rounded fragrance. If you want to get into that Middle Eastern style, this is a great one to get into. And if I'm not mistaken, I think on Fragrance Buy you can get this for under $20, which is insane because of the complexity and the style that you get out of this, and also the performance. This is a very loud projector, and it's also a very long lasting. It is an eau de parfum concentration, so it has a little more holding power when you spray it on. I would say easily about 6 to 8 hours, average or a little above for this one, but be careful because that sweetness is very strong. So if you do spray it, be careful not to overspray. Otherwise, you'll be walking around like a melting caramel pot and it will smell everywhere, which you'll smell great, but some of the people might not like it because this is very loud, but it does dry down a lot smoother. Very nice skin scent, very delectable and very sensual, perfect for date nights, I would say. It's just a great fall fragrance. It's not one that you're probably gonna see a lot of people recommend, but I highly recommend this for fall or any cooler weather for that matter. Again, it is Lattafa Raghba Wood Intense. The next one I'm going to talk about is actually one that I did a video on very recently of a line of fragrances from Lattafa, and it is Lattafa Abiyedh leather. So there's really not a whole lot more I can say about this fragrance that I didn't already say in that other video reviewing the line, but I did say in the video that I was going to wear this a lot more in the fall, hence why I'm also recommending it to you here. And in case you haven't watched the video, this is actually meant to be a clone of Memo Fragrance's Irish leather, a part of their leather line. This is a very aromatic, herbaceous, spicy, leathery scent, very leather forward, almost an animalic style leather. It's also very powdery and very musky. It's a very, very mature style fragrance. It harkens back to almost the older style fragrances you had in the 60s and 70s, but I really, really do like this. It smells a little harsh on a test strip, but when you spray it on skin, it dries down into a great skin scent, and it's very, very nice quality. Let's go ahead and get to the note breakdown real quick. On these top notes, you have juniper berries, cardamom, pink pepper, and raspberry. On those middle notes, you have iris, ginger, and rose. And on those base notes, you have leather, white musk, and amber. So again, very leather forward. Like I said, it has that animalic style leather, and you have a lot of herbaceousness, a little bit of a green tinge. Those juniper berries are definitely very noticeable and given that kind of weird tinge to it. If you know what juniper berries smell like in fragrances, you can definitely tell it here, which a lot of people don't like juniper as an opening, but I actually really like it. Just like for Versace the Dreamer, a lot of people don't like that opening because it's a little harsh, but juniper also gives in to that. So if you like it, then you'll love this. It does have that little bit of a tinge to it on the beginning, that little old-fashioned tinge, and those juniper berries kind of give in to that kind of feel. And you do get some rose in here, but it's very, very muted. But overall, that iris and that cardamom does add a lot of powderiness to it and a little bit of that spiciness. Again, this does lean very, very masculine, and it leans a little old-fashioned masculine scent. So if you don't like those older style, mature style fragrances, then you probably won't like this. But if you're like me, an old soul at heart, then you would love this one. And this would probably be a very good signature scent from fall through spring. Performance on this, like I said in the other video, is very good, above average. It's a very loud projector for that first hour, hour and a half, and that lasting power will go on for 8 hours, maybe plus 8 hours. It's just a very good performer. It has a lot of staying power, and all for just $15. Usually $15 unless the price has gone up on it on Fragrance Buy, but at the time I bought this, it was just $15, which is an absolute steal for the quality that you get out of this, especially for it to smell so similar to a very niche $200+ fragrance. But again, highly recommend it, perfect for the fall time and that cold weather. It is this one here, Lattafa Abiyedh leather. Now we are on the last one, the fifth one in this lineup, and it is one that I absolutely adore. I really, really love this fragrance. It's one that my wife actually got me for Christmas last year, and I've worn it a ton in between that time, even some in the warmer weather because I like it so much. And it is this one here, John Varvatos Vintage. So with this fragrance, you're getting something that's very, very aromatic, very, very spicy and powdery and musky, and you also do get a little bit of a clean suede / leather going through it. It is a very clean scent, by the way. Because of how the aromatics come across to me, along with the powderiness, this smells like a very nice bar of soap. Now, some of you might not like the sound of that. You don't want to smell like soap or old-fashioned soap or like an old lady, but this smells like a very masculine, mature style soap. And it is just a very well-rounded fragrance. It's not offensive at all. It's very easily appealing. I think this is a good middle ground between younger and older to smell very mature and classy. So let's go ahead and get into that note breakdown real quick. On those top notes, you have rhubarb, quince, pepper, wormwood, basil, and fennel. On those middle notes, you have cinnamon, juniper berries, lavender, green leaves, jasmine, and orris root. And on those base notes, you have tobacco, suede, balsam fir, tonka bean, woody notes, oak moss, and patchouli. So you have everything, including the kitchen sink, in this. And this just came out in 2006, but it has almost that older style kind of approach where they just put everything in there, all the aromatics, all the spices, which is why it comes across the way it does, so complex. But hold up, I can almost hear what you're saying. This is a John Varvatos fragrance. I thought this was supposed to be a cheap fragrance channel. Isn't John Varvatos designer and they sell it at Belk and this and that? And you would be correct, except that John Varvatos a lot of times can be found at rack stores and discounters for very cheap. A lot of times under that $40 mark that I tend to try to go by, especially this size here. I found this at Fragrance Buy for around $30 something, which is not bad at all. And even at rack stores, I've been able to find it for almost in the high 20s, which is very, very nice. Definitely, it's easy to pick up if you find the right place to look, which is why I'm including it in this list. And plus, I just can't go by without mentioning this if I get the chance, because I love it so much. You know, you get a lot of classiness, you get a lot of maturity to it. It is just, it makes you feel like you're in charge. It makes you feel like you are the best groomed, best kept person in the room, and yet that you know how to chill and relax better than anybody. It's just gives that air to it, that vibe to it, and I really like it. The only drawback I have on this, however, is that performance is very, very poor. It does not last that long. I have been able to spray double and spray a lot on, and it lasts maybe about 5 to 6 hours, but it dries down to a skin scent very, very quickly. But it does become a very nice skin scent. So it doesn't project that far out for too long, maybe about 45 minutes to an hour, but it does have some good sillage to it, depending on how much you spray on, and it does last for, like I said, maybe up to 6 hours. So it definitely makes for a good office scent, in my opinion. It would last you in the workplace for that day. It makes a good casual wear scent. It makes a good formal wear scent. It's just overall very versatile, especially in the cool weather, fall time, winter time, and springtime. But because we're talking about fall specifically, this would be a great one for fall, especially with that clean suede and spice coming through. It just makes a wonderful fall fragrance. Again, highly recommend this. If you can find it for under $40, definitely pick this up. You won't want to miss this one. It is John Varvatos Vintage. Again, guys, these are my 5 cheapies for fall of this year. I'll more than likely have a different list for next year, but for this year, I highly recommend these, especially if you're wanting to have a good fall starter kit for cheap fragrances. This is a great one to pick either of these from, and it's also very versatile. You got things here that are youthful and sweet and sometimes fruity, and you got things that are more mature, leathery, aromatic, and spicy, and it gives you a good bit of variety to pick from. So I really wanted to include these here. Again, no honorable mentions for this video. I wanted to keep it for just these 5 to keep it very short and simple. If you pick up any of these, or if you already own some of these, let me know in the comments what you think about them, if you like them, if you don't like them, or if you have other recommendations and things that you like rather than these for the fall time. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, like it, give me some support, and let me know what you want, what you don't want, what you want to see in the future. And if you're watching this video and you haven't subscribed to the channel, I ask that you please subscribe, because there's a lot of things that I have planned for the future, a lot of things I have coming up that I can't wait to show you, and hopefully I can even help you discover something brand new as well. And as usual, guys, that's all I got for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all again in the next video. Be blessed.